Hey there, nation. Welcome to the show. We help you to play miniatures wargaming on a budget. And it's time for another edition of Hobbyside Videos. This time it's episode 5 of our Brush with Death. And this time we are proud to present to you our entire army that we've painted up for our Undead Army for our Fantasy Battle Reports. And here it is, all 2,000 points of it. As you see, it looks really, really cool. This took about 6 months of work on and off again between different projects to finally put this army together. And so now here it is in all of its grand splendor. So as you can see, we have a couple units right here. We have a unit of 30 zombies, followed by a unit of 50 crypt ghouls with a champion as well as a Strigoi Ghoul King. And we also have a unit of 30 zombies back over here as well. Now these frontline units you guys have already seen before. We talked about these units specifically already with our previous episodes. Same thing with our monstrous infantry back here as well. We've already talked about those guys in some depth. And now what we're trying to focus on today are these last 3 models here, which are the big models that we created for our campaign. For our army, rather. So we'll go and talk about that first. We'll talk about the corpse cart. We'll talk about that first. Then we'll talk about our Terrorgeist that we have back here. And then finally, we'll go with the centerpiece miniature, which is our Mortis engine. So that being said, ladies and gentlemen, let's go ahead and get this on. Alright, so up first we have our corpse cart. This corpse cart is called Rolling Bones. That's what we named it. And as you can see, it's just a Games Workshop miniature. Get real close up here. So you can see there's a lot of bodies and stuff like that inside the corpse cart. And what's kind of neat is there's actually rats. I'm not sure if you see it, but right there, there's actually like rats. They're actually inside this corpse cart as well. That's the corpse master. Like I said before, the design concept that we went with this army was to kind of go with a more colorful look. And the reason why is because a lot of undead armies that are painted up for Warhammer and other fantasy games too, they tend to be a little bit drabby looking, you know. They look really faded and worn. While that is a cool aesthetic, you know, it is kind of neat to have that kind of an army. For me, I like bright colors, and so that's what I decided to go with on this one. So as you can see, the Corpse Master is a kind of like a bright yellow. Same thing with the corpses inside the corpse cart. We decided to paint them up different shades, like they got killed from different diseases, and they have, like, of course, different levels of decay and stuff. Is what we kind of went with as well. As you can see, we applied a lot of blood from the blood of the blood god from Citadel's line of technical paints to kind of pull off that gory look as well. So as you can see, very, very nice looking miniature. Overall, I'm really pleased with the way it turned out. Really like this one a lot. It was a major pain, however, to paint. I made the mistake of assembling the entire miniature first and then painting it. My suggestion to you, if you ever decide to get a corpse cart for your army and decide to paint it up, my suggestion would be to break into sub-assemblies. So assemble the cart first, and then leave the pile of bodies outside of it, leave the rider outside of it, and these individual pullers outside of it as well, and then paint everything up and then assemble, because it is really hard to get in here. As you can see, there's like a lot of nooks and crannies and really hard spots to get to, so it's very, very difficult to paint when it's fully assembled. So make sure you do sub-assemblies first. And that's pretty much going to do it for the corpse cart. So with that being said, let's go and talk about the Terrorgeist real fast. Alright, up next we have the Terrorgeist. So as you can see from this miniature, this one is actually kind of a free miniature for us to use. And the reason why is because this miniature was actually just given to me from bits and pieces of this miniature, which is kind of given to me as kind of like a gift. So it didn't really cost me anything to create this miniature. So I just did some conversion work on my own to make it look like an undead dragon type Terrorgeist monster. So that way I have like this monstrous creature that I could use for it. Now, if you're wondering what this is, as you can clearly tell, it is primarily a dragon model, from a pewter model. It's actually a heavy pewter model. This is actually a dragon model from the 4th edition of Warhammer Fantasy. It was actually a black dragon model that was from the old Dark Elves army. It was from a miniature called Rakarth of Karan Kar. He was a Beast Lord character who rode on the back of a black dragon. He was a special character, and that's what this miniature is based off of, alright? Well, the thing is, though, if you look at this miniature, what you'll notice is that the neck portion of the dragon is missing. Games Workshop, especially with their pewter models, they had a very serpentine look to their dragons. You'd actually have a neck that would go up and then come down again, and then the top of the head would be mounted on the lower jaw, and that's what the creature would look like. Also, when I got this miniature, it was also missing one of its wings as well, so because that was all kind of messed up looking. So what I decided to do instead then was take a bunch of green stuff, as you can see with this red tentacles, these blood red tentacles they have coming erupting from the shoulder joint. I put the green stuff on the shoulder joint and made it look like these tentacles were kind of coming out of it, like these nasty looking growths. And then what I decided to do is take the top of the head, because I had that miniature, and I glued it to the base here. And then what I did is I took some spare teeth and fangs and spikes from an old Chaos Spawn kit that I had, and I glued them in there to make it look like this thing had like a huge maw that just kind of opened up, and then made it look like there were all these tentacles and pieces like all coming out of its mouth. And then I painted it up. I created this blue color. Decided to go the blue color, kind of color scheme, blue and green. I was trying to go for like this, you know, Game of Thrones White Walker dragon type of look, where you have like this blue color to kind of go with it, because like I said before, I really like bright colors, and I really like using this judicious use of this really bright green. And then of course, you know, dry busted miniature, I also used Guilliman green, Guilliman white, no, sorry, Guilliman blue, which is a type of glaze to kind of give it this glaze look. And then I used, of course, a judicious amount of blood from the blood god to give it this kind of like bloody maw looking thing. So in the end, you got this creepy looking, giant mouthed, bloody tentacled monster thing with a wing. And it just looks really, really cool. Looks like a giant zombie undead monster thing. I just really like the way it came out. So yeah, it's a perfect example of some conversion work that you can do to save some money. Alright, so that's going to do it for the Terrorgeist. The very last miniature we're going to concentrate on real quick is on our Mortis engine, and that'll wrap it up for this one. Alright, so now it's time to talk about our Mortis engine. The Mortis engine in this army is called the Calliope of Chaos. As you can see, the Mortis engine is just that. It's a Games Workshop kit. I managed to get this miniature for actually a really good price. I think I got it for like $35 or $40. When I originally got this model. What happened was there was a miniature store that was closing. I was able to get a really good price on it, and I just really like the way this model looks. It just looks freaking epic. I mean, it is an epically proportioned figure. You have like this relic in this bone-shaped cage with this carriage made out of bone being hoisted up into the air by flying spirits. You got banshees sprawling all around the nonsense craziness of it. You also got this creepy undead corpse master who's guiding it as well. And so yeah, I just really fell in love with the idea of this model. This model plays very, very cool as well. When you have it into the army, you have like this pulse ability. You also got the spirit hosts that can fight as well. Let me go show some detail of these spirit hosts. So yeah, very pleased with the way this miniature kind of came out. I'm really happy with it. The only thing was that this thing was a pain to assemble, is all it was. So after I did the corpse cart, as you can see right back there, I decided for this one, I decided to break it into sub-assemblies. That way it was easier to paint, and that's exactly what I did. So what I did is I split the spirit hosts between the two halves, then I assembled the bone cage. I left the gate off, and then I left the little relic on the inside of it, looking for the top, the little relic there on the top. I kept that separated. Same thing with the banshees, kept that separated too, as well as the corpse master, and painted these guys up accordingly. Oh, I knocked over my general there. Get this fixed up real quick. Look at that out of the way there. I'll come back and fix that later. So yeah, so I took care of that, and then I painted it. I wanted to create like this kind of shadowy, smoky look to the miniature to make it look like it was like the darkness manifesting. So I painted the spirit hosts green, and I used some green shade as well as some oil wash as well with the metal to make it look like it's really dark and kind of like oozy looking. And then painted the entire cage, that's the carriage, black, and I dry busted various shades of gray with green fire. Add that oil wash to it to make it look all grimy, and the same thing with the banshees on top as well. The most frustrating thing about this miniature was gluing on these banshees, because the banshees have these really like small contact points from the glue into. That part was kind of difficult as well. And then of course there's the corpse master as well as the gate. I really like the way this came out, so pretty proud of it so far. And that's my Calliope of Chaos. That's my Mortis engine. Alright you guys, that's going to do it for this one. This pretty much wraps up our Brush with Death episode number 5. As you can see, we now have a full 2,000 point army that we can use for various battle reports as well. We could probably boost up to 2,500 too as we start spending on things like magic items and upgrades and stuff like that nature as well. So yeah, I'm very, very pleased. Right now I could stop paying this army if I wanted to and start playing with it. I am planning on adding some Hex Wraiths as well as some Black Knights to this miniature army as well to give it some cavalry options, also add some more point values to it. But for the most part, this army is pretty much done. It's been a long 6 months journey, but I'm very, very happy with the results, and I'm pretty excited about it. So yeah, you guys, that's going to do it for this one. As always, please feel free to like, comment, and or subscribe. Your guys' input is valuable as always. Also, check us out at Instagram, Facebook, Google+, as well as Blogger to see all the latest and greatest news about our hobby. That's going to do it for this one, you guys. You guys stay classy. Peace out.